The silent vanguard. The Harbinger drifted silently through the void, its stealth systems rendering it virtually invisible against the backdrop of space. Commander Eliza Reed stood on the bridge, her sharp eyes fixed on the holographic display, showing the massive Valkyrie station orbiting what had once been humanity's homeworld. Earth gleamed blue and green below, deceptively peaceful from this distance. 27 years had passed since the invasion, but the pain of that loss remained as fresh as ever. Proximity alert, Lieutenant Quan reported from the tactical station. Valkyrie patrol, bearing 340, holding at 5,000 kilometers. Eliza nodded, her expression unchanged. Maintain course. They can't detect us. The Harbinger continued its approach, slipping past the patrol like a ghost. Their ship represented the pinnacle of human ingenuity. Technology developed in secret across scattered colonies and hidden research outposts. The Valkyrie believed they had crushed humanity's spirit when they conquered Earth, but they had merely forced it to evolve. "We're within optimal range of their communications hub," Quan announced, ready to initiate Operation Whisper. "Proceed," Eliza ordered, her voice steady despite the stakes. This mission had been years in planning. The surviving human leadership had realized early on that a direct confrontation with the Valkyrie Dominion would be suicide. Their fleets were too vast, their weapons too advanced. But humans had always excelled at asymmetric warfare, at finding the hidden weakness in seemingly impenetrable defenses. The bridge crew worked in focused silence as specialized quantum intrusion protocols, developed by Dr. Marcus Okafor in the hidden labs of Proxima Centauri b, began infiltrating the Valkyrie network. They were invisible, patient predators in a digital ocean. "Connection established," reported Communications Officer Sato. "Beginning data extraction." Eliza moved to Sato's station, watching as alien encryption yielded to human determination. The Valkyrie, for all their technological superiority, had grown complacent. They believed their systems to be impenetrable, had never imagined that the primitive humans they had so easily defeated would adapt so quickly. "What am I looking at?" Eliza asked as strange symbols and schematics flooded the screen. Dr. Natalia Volkov, their xenobiologist, stepped forward. "Those appear to be biological rhythms. And that," she pointed to a recurring pattern, "that's their distributed neural network." The discovery had been the result of a captured Valkyrie drone and years of painstaking research. Unlike humans, the Valkyrie shared a form of distributed consciousness, each individual connected to the collective through quantum entanglement. It was their greatest strength and, potentially, their greatest vulnerability. "There," Natalia said suddenly, her finger tracing a complex node structure. "That's what we've been looking for. The coordination frequencies for their hive consciousness." Eliza felt her heart rate quicken. "How certain are you?" 93%. "These match our theoretical models." Natalia's eyes gleamed with fierce intelligence. "If we can disrupt these specific patterns, we could temporarily sever their connection to the collective. Each ship, each soldier would be isolated, forced to think and act independently. For a species that had evolved with constant neural support from the collective, such isolation would be catastrophic, like suddenly blinding a creature that had always relied on sight. "Download everything," Eliza ordered. "Priority encryption." As the data transfer proceeded, Eliza moved to the forward viewport, staring out at Earth. Somewhere on that blue marble, millions of humans still lived under Valkyrie rule. Others operated in underground resistance cells, waiting for the day when they could reclaim their world. That day was coming sooner than anyone expected. Her comm unit chimed softly. "Commander," Quan's voice was tight with tension. "We have movement." A Valkyrie dreadnought just emerged from FTL near the station. "Estimated time to detection?" Eliza asked. "At current course and speed, 3 minutes before we're in their active sensor range." Eliza returned to her command chair. "Status of the data transfer?" 82% complete, Sato replied. Reroute auxiliary power to our stealth systems. We need those 3 minutes. The lights on the bridge dimmed as energy was diverted. On the tactical display, the massive dreadnought, easily 20 times the size of the Harbinger, moved with ponderous grace toward the station. They're initiating wide-spectrum scans, Quan reported, his fingers dancing across his console. Adjusting our absorption pattern to compensate. The tension on the bridge was palpable as the seconds ticked by. The Harbinger had never been this close to a Valkyrie capital ship before. Their stealth technology remained theoretical against sensors of that caliber. Transfer at 97%, Sato announced. The dreadnought continued its approach, now less than 2,000 kilometers away. On the main screen, Eliza could see its imposing silhouette, the distinctive curves and angles of Valkyrie architecture made manifest in a vessel designed for absolute dominance. Transfer complete, Sato finally reported. Get us out of here, Eliza ordered. Calculated jumps, pattern Sierra 9. The Harbinger's engines hummed to life, still operating at minimal output to avoid detection. They began to drift away from the station, accelerating gradually to prevent any sudden energy signatures that might give them away. Commander, Quan's voice cracked with alarm. The dreadnought is altering course. They're turning toward us. Eliza's jaw tightened. Time to jump threshold. 40 seconds. Reroute life support power to engines. Get us to jump threshold now. The temperature on the bridge immediately dropped as the Harbinger surged forward, abandoning stealth for speed. On the tactical display, the dreadnought's weapon systems began powering up. They've locked onto us, Quan reported. Energy buildup in their main cannon. Evasive pattern Delta, Eliza ordered. Deploy countermeasures. The Harbinger twisted in space, releasing a cloud of quantum-disrupting particles designed to confuse Valkyrie targeting systems. The first shot from the dreadnought lanced through space, missing them by mere kilometers. Jump threshold in 15 seconds, the navigation officer called out. Another shot from the dreadnought grazed their aft shields, sending tremors through the ship. Warning alarms blared across the bridge. Aft shields at 60%, Quan reported. Direct hit will breach containment. 10 seconds to jump. The dreadnought was fully engaged now, its secondary weapons joining the assault. The space around the Harbinger lit up with deadly energy. 5 seconds. A final shot from the dreadnought struck home, rocking the ship violently. Eliza gripped her chair as systems sparked around her. Jump, she commanded. Space twisted around them as the Harbinger's quantum drive activated, catapulting them instantly beyond the Valkyrie's reach. The violent swirl of colors through the viewport gradually stabilized, revealing the empty void of deep space. Damage report, Eliza demanded, already moving to assist an injured crew member. Shields at 28%, hull breaches on decks 3 and 4. Emergency containment holding, Quan responded. But Commander, we made it. The data is intact. Eliza allowed herself a small smile. Transmit everything to Admiral Chen. Tell him Operation Whisper is complete. In the command center of the hidden human fleet, deep within the Kuiper Belt, Admiral Jackson Chen received the Harbinger's transmission. The data flowed across his screens, the key to humanity's resurgence finally within their grasp. Is this confirmed? He asked his chief science officer. Yes, sir. This is exactly what we've been looking for, the frequency patterns that coordinate their collective consciousness. With this, we can implement Operation Lazarus. Admiral Chen studied the tactical display, showing the location of every hidden human vessel, a fleet built in secret over decades. 300 warships of varying classes, each incorporating technology reverse-engineered from Valkyrie debris or developed through parallel innovation. Send the activation codes, he ordered. All vessels to combat readiness. Commence final preparations for Operation Lazarus. Throughout the solar system and beyond, dormant human cells activated. Resistance fighters who had lived for years under Valkyrie rule readied themselves for coordinated strikes. Sleeper agents embedded in Valkyrie installations prepared to sabotage critical systems. On Mars, Dr. Elena Rise powered up the Quantum Disruption Network, an array of devices planted strategically across Valkyrie territory by resistance operatives. Once activated, they would broadcast the precisely modulated frequencies needed to shatter the Valkyrie collective consciousness. "This is Admiral Chen to all human forces," he broadcast on the secure channel. "The time has come to reclaim what is ours. 27 years ago, we lost our home. Tomorrow, we take it back." The message spread across the stars, reaching every pocket of human resistance. In hidden bases and conquered cities, men and women who had never given up hope prepared for the final battle. Aboard the Harbinger, now rendezvousing with the main fleet, Commander Eliza Reed addressed her crew. "What we've achieved today will change everything. The Valkyrie believe they broke us, that we're nothing but scattered refugees and slaves." She paused, her eyes reflecting the fire that burned within every human survivor. Tomorrow, they learn how wrong they were. As final preparations were made across the fleet, Eliza returned to her quarters. On her desk sat a small hologram, a family photo taken on Earth before the invasion. She touched it gently, remembering the world they had lost and the one they would soon fight to reclaim. "We're coming home," she whispered. The human counterattack was about to begin. Reclamation. The human fleet emerged from the shadow of Neptune like vengeful ghosts. 300 warships of varying sizes arranged in perfect battle formation, their hulls gleaming in the distant sunlight. At the center of the formation, the flagship Redemption led the charge, Admiral Jackson Chen standing resolute on its bridge. "All ships report ready, Admiral," his XO, Commander Takeda, announced. "Quantum Disruption Network is synchronized and awaiting activation." Chen nodded, his weathered face betraying no emotion. "Begin the countdown. Transmit to all vessels. Operation Lazarus commences in 10 minutes. Throughout the fleet, final preparations were underway. Pilots ran last system checks on fighters. Marine squads reviewed insertion plans. Engineers monitored the experimental weapons that represented humanity's best hope for victory. Aboard the Harbinger, now repaired and ready for combat, Commander Eliza Reed briefed her specialized strike team. "Our mission is critical. While the main fleet engages the Valkyrie in orbit, we'll penetrate their planetary defense grid and deploy ground forces to these key locations." She highlighted several points on the holographic display of Earth. "These are the primary nodes of their neural network. Once our teams are in position, we'll synchronize with the fleet's attack." Lieutenant Quan raised a hand. "Commander, what's our contingency if the quantum disruption doesn't work as expected?" A fair question. The technology was untested in actual combat. "Then we fight the old-fashioned way," Eliza replied grimly. "But the disruption will work. It has to." Near Earth, the first Valkyrie sensors detected the approaching human fleet. Alarms blared across their installations as the dormant threat they had dismissed for decades suddenly materialized before them. Their response was immediate. Defensive platforms powering up, ships moving to intercept. "They'd spotted us," Takeda reported on the Redemption's bridge. "Valkyrie battle groups mobilizing from Earth, Mars, and their station at L4. "As expected," Chen replied calmly. "Communications, signal all vessels. Operation Lazarus is now active." Throughout the solar system, hundreds of hidden quantum disruptors simultaneously activated. The precisely calculated frequencies, stolen by the Harbinger's mission, flooded Valkyrie communication channels. The effect was instantaneous and devastating. Across the Valkyrie fleet, individual vessels suddenly lost connection to the collective consciousness. For a species that had evolved to function as part of a unified neural network, the effect was comparable to sudden blindness. Confusion rippled through their ranks as individual Valkyrie struggled to process information without the collective support. "It's working," Takeda announced, unable to keep the wonderment from his voice. "Their formations are breaking down. Ships are losing coordination. Chen allowed himself a small smile. Signal the attack wings. Full offensive deployment. Pattern Omega. The human fleet accelerated toward Earth, breaking into pre-assigned strike groups. Smaller, faster vessels surged ahead, targeting isolated Valkyrie ships that now moved erratically through space. The larger human cruisers and destroyers formed a protective screen around the troop carriers bound for planetary insertion. The Harbinger slipped past the main battle zone, utilizing its superior stealth technology to approach Earth undetected. 5 other specialized infiltration vessels followed in its wake, each carrying elite strike teams. Atmospheric entry in 60 seconds, Quan reported as the blue curve of Earth filled their viewport. Ground resistance reports ready at all insertion points. Eliza nodded, already securing her combat gear. Take us in. The 6 human vessels dove toward the planet, their heat shields glowing as they tore through the atmosphere. They separated, each targeting a different continent where Valkyrie control centers had been established. The Harbinger's destination was the primary Valkyrie command complex in what had once been Geneva, now the administrative center of Earth's occupation. As they descended through cloud cover, Eliza saw the sprawling alien architecture below, its elegant arches and spires incongruous against the ruins of human civilization. Resistance forces are engaging Valkyrie ground troops, Quan reported. They're drawing defenses away from our landing zone. For decades, humans who had remained on Earth had formed an intricate underground network. Today, they emerged from hiding, attacking Valkyrie positions across the globe in a coordinated uprising. The Harbinger touched down 2 kilometers from the Geneva complex, deploying its strike team immediately. Eliza led her squad through the ruins of the old city, guided by resistance fighters who had spent years mapping Valkyrie patrol routes and defense systems. The main control node is beneath the central spire, their resistance guide explained, pointing to the towering structure that dominated the skyline. But security is heavy, even with the disruption affecting them. That's why we brought this, Eliza replied, nodding to the specialized equipment her team carried. The ground-side component of the quantum disruption network. Above, in orbit, the battle had fully engaged. Human ships, though outnumbered, fought with tactical brilliance against the disorganized Valkyrie fleet. Vessels that would normally have functioned in perfect coordination now fired at cross-purposes or duplicated efforts ineffectively. Admiral Chen watched from the Redemption's bridge as his carefully crafted battle plan unfolded. Second Wing, reinforce Sector 7. He ordered as tactical displays showed a concentration of Valkyrie dreadnoughts attempting to regroup. Admiral, Takeda called out, the Valkyrie flagship is adapting. They're implementing some kind of localized coordination system. Chen had anticipated this. The Valkyrie were not unintelligent as individuals, just unaccustomed to acting without collective support. Deploy the secondary disruption frequencies. Target their flagship specifically. On the ground, Eliza's team encountered the first sign of Valkyrie resistance, a patrol of 6 warriors, their iridescent armor gleaming in the sunlight. Typically, Valkyrie troops operated with perfect tactical awareness shared through their neural link. Now they moved with noticeable hesitation, their coordination fractured. Take them quickly, Eliza ordered. Non-lethal if possible. We need access codes. Her team deployed sonic disruptors, weapons specifically designed to incapacitate Valkyrie without killing them. The patrol went down without firing a shot, their nervous systems overwhelmed by frequencies targeted to their unique biology. Dr. Volkov hurried forward, attaching a neural interface to the patrol leader's cranial implant. I'm extracting access codes, she reported. Their security encryption is simplified without collective support. With the obtained codes, Eliza's team penetrated deeper into Valkyrie territory. Throughout the complex, they encountered signs of confusion. Guards at wrong positions, security systems improperly activated. The disruption of the hive mind had reduced the fearsome occupiers to disoriented individuals. In orbit, the tide had decisively turned. Human ships, though taking casualties, had broken through the Valkyrie defensive line. The Redemption led a direct assault on the massive orbital station that had served as the Valkyrie command center for the occupation. Their defensive grid is collapsing, Takeda reported. Boarding teams ready for deployment. Proceed, Chen ordered, and patch me through to all human forces. As specialized teams prepared to board the Valkyrie station, Chen addressed the combined human fleet. This is Admiral Chen. For 27 years, we have hidden, planned, and remembered. Today, we show the Valkyrie and the galaxy that humanity will never be conquered. Push forward. Earth awaits liberation. Cheer echoed across the communication channels as the human assault intensified. On the surface, Elise's team reached the central control node of the Geneva complex. With their stolen access codes, they'd bypassed the primary security systems, but the inner chamber remained sealed. Final barrier, Lieutenant Quan reported. Biometric lock, keyed to Valkyrie physiology. Eliza turned to their prisoner, the Valkyrie patrol leader they had captured earlier. This is simple, she told the alien, whose multifaceted eyes regarded her with a mixture of fear and defiance. Open the door, and you live. Refuse, and we find another way in, but you won't see it. The Valkyrie hesitated, then responded in halting human language. You cannot win. The Dominion is vast. Look around you, Eliza replied. Your ships are falling from the sky. Your troops are in disarray. The occupation ends today. After a moment's consideration, the Valkyrie moved toward the scanner. It pressed its palm against the surface, and the massive doors slid open. Inside lay the nerve center of Earth's occupation, a vast chamber filled with Valkyrie technology. At its center stood a quantum resonance core, the primary node connecting Earth's occupation forces to the wider Valkyrie collective. Set the charges, Eliza ordered. Her team moved quickly, placing specialized disruptors around the core, while Dr. Volkov interfaced with the Valkyrie systems. I'm accessing their command network, Volkov reported. From here, I can transmit surrender codes to all remaining Valkyrie forces on Earth. Eliza nodded. Do it. As Volkov worked, Eliza received an update from orbit. Commander, Admiral Chen reports the space station has been secured. Valkyrie fleet elements are surrendering or retreating. Victory was within reach, but Eliza knew better than to celebrate prematurely. Status of the other strike teams. All reporting success. Control nodes on all continents have been neutralized or captured. Eliza allowed herself a moment of satisfaction before refocusing. Prepare for Phase 2. Once we've secured Earth, we'll need to establish the new defensive perimeter. In orbit, Admiral Chen supervised the final stages of the battle. The remaining Valkyrie ships, cut off from collective guidance and facing coordinated human attacks, were surrendering in increasing numbers. Signal from the surface. Admiral, Takeda reported. Commander Reed reports all primary objectives achieved. Earth's control infrastructure is in our hands. Chen stared at the viewscreen showing the blue planet below. Humanity's birthplace, soon to be humanity's once more. Begin landing operations, priority for medical and infrastructure teams. The liberation of Earth proceeded faster than even the most optimistic projections. Without their neural network, the Valkyrie occupation forces quickly collapsed. Some fought to the death, but many surrendered when offered terms. 3 days after Operation Lazarus began, representatives from the human fleet and Earth's resistance gathered in the reclaimed United Nations building in New York. The structure had been preserved by the Valkyrie as a museum of the primitive species they had conquered. Admiral Chen and Commander Reed stood together at the head of what had once been the General Assembly, addressing the gathered leaders of humanity's scattered forces. Today marks the beginning of a new chapter, Chen announced. Not just the reclamation of Earth, but the emergence of humanity as a force in the galaxy. The Valkyrie underestimated us, believed that by taking our homeworld, they had broken our spirit. They were wrong. Eliza stepped forward. Our work isn't finished. The Valkyrie Dominion extends across hundreds of systems. They will return, better prepared for our disruption technology. But we've proven what humanity can achieve through perseverance, innovation, and unity. The assembly erupted in applause as Chen unveiled the next phase of humanity's resurgence, a coordinated plan to establish a defensive perimeter around recovered human territory and develop diplomatic relations with other species oppressed by the Valkyrie. In the weeks that followed, millions of humans who had been living in hidden colonies returned to Earth. Rebuilding began immediately, incorporating both human ingenuity and adapted Valkyrie technology. The quantum disruption network was expanded, creating a shield around the solar system that would prevent any future Valkyrie forces from operating effectively within its boundary. On the one-month anniversary of liberation, Elisa stood on a hillside overlooking the rebuilding of Geneva. The alien structures were being repurposed or dismantled, human architecture rising once again. Admiral Chen joined her, gazing out at the horizon, where construction crews worked day and night. The Valkyrie Dominion has sent peace envoys, he informed her. They're proposing recognition of human sovereignty over the solar system and beyond. Elisa asked. We've identified 17 former human colony worlds within striking distance. Phase 3 of Operation Lazarus is already in planning. Eliza nodded, her eyes fixed on the future. They thought they were ending humanity's story when they took Earth. They didn't realize they were just setting up the next chapter. As the sun set over liberated Earth, ships rose from the surface, some heading to orbit, others bound for more distant destinations. Humanity had returned to its birthright, but it would not stop there. The stars themselves awaited reclamation. The galaxy would never underestimate humans again.